So this is our final interactive dashboard that depends on the different filters and parameters. For example, if we select the global sales, North America sales, Europe sales, starting for example from 1990 or 1992 up to 2013, for example. Hello guys, and welcome to this tutorial about creating a video game sales dashboard using Tableau. So first we are going to import our CSV file. To do that, we click on Tool File, More. You look for the folder where you have put the CSV file and you double click on it in order to put it in Tableau. The link to download the CSV file is available in the description. So first, let's see what we have in our data set. As I said, it is about video games sales. So we have 11 fields, so 11 columns, and nearly 70k rows. We have the rank for each name of the video game. We have the platform, the year, the genre, the publisher, and we do have the total sales, which are divided into 5 different columns. We have North America sales, Europe sales, Japan sales, other sales, and global sales. So let's go to worksheet and create our first graph. So we click on sheet 1. For example, if we want to create the total sales by year, okay? So we can do, for example, one graph for Europe sales, another worksheet for global sales, another worksheet for Japan sales and North America sales, etc. So this will take a lot of time and a lot of space in our dashboard. So to work in a smarter way, we are going to create a parameter and a calculated field, which we will use as a filter in order to have all the cells in one graph. So we will only need to play on the filter. So to do that, we click on create parameter. We call it zone cells. So data type, it will be string, and allowable values, it will be a list. So we put our values here. So we put EU sales. We write global sales, Japan sales. We have North America sales, and finally we have other sales. Okay, so you click on OK, right? So we have here our parameter. Now we create a calculated field. So create calculated field, we call it same thing, zone sales. Okay, and we use case statements. So we have case, right, zone sales. So right, when we have Europe sales, no, put it like string U sales, then we will have Europe sales. Okay, when we have, for example, global sales, then select for me global sales, right? When Japan sales, same thing, GP sales, okay, then select for me Japan sales. Okay, when we have North America sales, then select for me North America sales. Okay, and finally when other sales, then select for me other sales. All right, and apply. Okay, now we start our visualization. We said we put the year in the columns. Okay, so we have the different years. All right, and we want to visualize the zone sales. Okay, as we have said, we can visualize Europe sales, for example, and then we do another worksheet for global sales, etc. But here, what we are going to do is that we are going to visualize the sum of zone sales. Okay, and here we filter data. All right, so we don't want to have null values, and then you click on show parameter. Okay, here you can change. For example, we have global sales, we have other sales, and we have, for example, North America sales. Okay, so it is much better than having 5 worksheets. So we can rename the worksheet as sales by years. Okay, and for example we can duplicate that. So we click on, you press on control key, you put the sum in here. The first one we are going to make it in black. Okay, not this one. So the first one it is in black, and the second one it will be an area chart. Okay, and we put it for example in blue, or we click on more colors and we select another, for example this one. Okay, so just to change the color, we click on dual axis to create our graph. Okay, so here we have our graph, and for example we can add for example genre into the colors, for example where we have put the area chart. Okay, so we can drag and drop genre into the colors. Thus we will have the different area charts for each genre depending on the years. Okay, we can also put the genre into the filters, for example show filter, right? And we change it into multiple value drop down. This will allow us to compare the different sales, for example in North America. Okay, so we have selected North America sales. We can for example compare the genre. Let's say we compare action and racing. Okay, for example action and racing between 1980 and 2020. Okay, for example if you want to create and to zoom into the years using a filter, we can create another parameter. Okay, we call it create parameter, right? And we put it start date. It's gonna be an integer, right? And we put it a range. So select values from, we put year. So this is the start date. Okay, and we create another parameter. Okay, create parameter, call it end date, same thing as an integer, and it will be a range. Select add values from the year. Okay, we put it okay. Then we create another calculated field. So create calculated field, study period. Okay, if year, okay, is greater or equal than start date, and year is less or equal than the end date, so the different parameters that we have created, then give me 1. Okay, else give me 0. So end, apply. Okay, so we are going to convert it into a dimension first. Okay, convert to dimension, and then we put it into the filters. We select 1. So we want our period to be between start date and end date. Apply. Okay, then we click on show parameter and show parameter, right? So here we can drag and drop the legend into the bottom, and we can move and play with our date. Okay, so for example we want to compare in sales in Europe for adventure and fighting between 1996 and 2013. Okay, so here we have our data. We can also select all and select all the period. Okay, so here we have dynamic and an interactive chart, and it is better than having multiple worksheets to create chart for Europe, global, North America, other sales, and other for genre, etc. Okay, so it is much better to have these parameters that help us to create an interactive plot. Okay, so here we have our legend. The blue is action. For example, if you click on action, adventure, right, risk, etc. Now we are going to do some modifications. So edit axis, right? So we remove the year. We know that it is years. We do the same thing for the other axis. So we we remove the titles, and this also will help us to gain space. Okay, as you can see here, we can change the name, so we have by years and genre. Okay, we double click on the title, we select, we put it in the middle in bold, and we change it into black. Apply. Okay, we're going to format our worksheet. Okay, so here we do have, we put it in black and bold, right? We put the, okay, so we add the borders. So for the cell it will be in black, for the pen same thing, and for the header. Okay, we can also format the title. Okay, format title, and we put, for example, shading, we put this color, right? Okay, so here we have our first chart. Okay, we can also edit the titles and the filters and the parameters, but we are going to do that when we create our dashboard. So this is the sales by years and genre. So we have the sales and the genre. We can also play with the years, right? Same thing. So we have created the genre, we have created the year. Now, for example, we can create the different, now we can show the different sales by, for example, name. Let's say the top 10 names by sales. Okay, so create, for example, top 10 names by sales. Okay, so we do the same thing. We use the created calculated field. Okay, uh, we put it in the rows, right? And or in the columns, then we put the names in the rows. Okay, so we are going to sort that, and we create a filter. So we said top 10 names. Okay, so the top by field, so top 10 by the zone sales. Okay, apply. Okay, we convert it to the entire view, and we can add, for example, you click on control, you press on control key, you put the sum in the labels, right? We can change the color, it will be in blue, right? We can edit the axis, so here we have Pokemon, we have same thing, and we have the different names up to the 10th. This is for, as we can see here, we can show the parameter, right? Show parameter. So here we are in Japan. We go into to North America, it will directly change to Wii Sports, Super Mario, etc. If we go, for example, to Europe, same thing. Okay, it will change. We can do the same thing for the date, for example, start date and end date. We need to put the study period into the filters. One, apply. Okay, so we show the parameters, show parameter, and same thing, show parameter, right? So we can play with different years, right? You can see too much tension here, but starting from 2009, there is change. Okay, now this is for the filter, right? And we do the same thing, we do some modifications. So set by top 10 names by sales. Okay, top 10 name by sales. We do the same thing, so we are going to put it in the middle, in bold, right, in black. Apply. Okay, we remove or hide field labels for rows, and we format our worksheet. Okay, so it will be in black and bold, and the same thing for the title. So we are going to format title, and we put a shading like blue or this one. Okay, so here we have the top 10 names by sales. We can just duplicate that. Okay, and we, for example, here we have the publisher. Okay, so we have the name. Now we can visualize the platform. So we put platform in the rows, we sort, same thing, and we are going to create the top 10. Show filter, right? No, not show filter, but filter top by field. We have the top 10. Apply. Okay. So here we do have the top 10. We change the name. Okay. So top 10 platforms by sales. Okay. So duplicating is much better to avoid doing the same modifications. Okay. Since here we only want to change the name, and here we have the sum of the cells by the zone. Okay, if we change for example to Japan, it will be changed. Okay, for example if we go to North America, same thing. All right, so we have top 10 platforms by sales. We have the platforms in the rows, the sum in the columns, and we remove the name. Okay, so we don't label the name in the filters, right? And here we are going to have the top 10. Okay, top 10 sales or top 10 platforms by sales. Okay, we have the zone of sales and we have the study period. Okay, so here we have the top 10 platforms. Here we have the top 10 names. As you can see here we have name in the filter, and here we do have platform in the filter, right? We can duplicate that and do the same thing for the publisher, right? You can also change the type of the graph. For example, if we want to have, for example, a tree map, or we do have, if you want to have, for example, a bubble chart, for example. Okay, and for example, you can change here the color. So we add the sum into the label. So can we see the sum? And we can change the color, right? Edit color. For example, we can put it in blue. Sign palette. Apply. Okay. But when we change it into this, it will be, so the color will depend on the platform, but we want the color that will depend on the sum. Okay, so the darker is the color, the more cells we have in the zone. So we put the platform as detail, and we press Control key, and we change the sum into the colors, right? We do the same thing for the label. Okay, so the darker, the bigger is the circle, the more cells we do have. Okay, so we have the entire view, right? If we change it to Europe, okay, same thing, but we do have the name, the sum of cells in detail, and we change it into color, right? Okay, so here we have changed the color will depend on the sum, the size the same thing, it will depend on the sum, and we have the labels. Okay, so we have the platform and the total sales. If we change it for example to Japan, okay, if we change it to North America, right, so we have the different values. We can leave it as it is. Okay, so the sum of the zone cells will depend on the color, so the darker the color, the more cells we have. And we can do the same thing for the publisher. So we click in here, duplicate, so top 10 sales or top 10 publishers by sales. Okay, all right, so we have top 10 publishers by sales, and here, as we have said, we remove the name, we put the publisher in the rows, we sort that, we click on filter, top 10. Okay, apply. All right, so here we have the publisher, top 10 publishers by sales, and we have the sum, and we have also the date. So we can change it into Europe, we can change it into global, change it to North America. But if we remove the year, as you can see here, okay, so Nintendo has before 2007 it was in the top. Okay, it was the first or the second. Okay, but starting from 2010, okay, it has lost one place, okay, and in 2016, we have Ubisoft, we have Electronic Arts that took the the first position and second position in North America. Okay, so we have used all the genre, the names, the platforms, and the publishers. All right. For example, same thing in here. We can change it into another chart. For example, we can use tree map, right? And we can add the sum into the labels. So here we can see the total sales. Okay. Same thing when we change it to Europe, change it to global sales. Okay. So we have the sales by years, right? Top 10 names by sales, top 10 publishers by sales, top 10 platforms by sales. Okay, so we have used all these terms. We can also create another KPIs, for example, total names, total platforms, total publishers, and total genre. Okay, so we write total names in the data set. All right, okay, we press OK. To do that, we put name in text and we put count D. Okay, so we measure count D, right? Same thing, we put it in the entire view. We format that, okay, so the alignment it will be in the middle, right? We put it in black, bold, example in 10, right? We can change the title, so we can put it, for example, here in 12 and in black, apply, okay. We can also format the title, okay, if we put another shading, for example, we put this color, and we have total names in the dataset, right? We can also, so we'll duplicate that, and we can see the total platforms. Okay, so we have platform in text, and we put count D, right? So we have 31 platforms. We change it to total platforms in the dataset. Total platforms, okay. We can do the same thing for the publisher, so we'll duplicate that, duplicate, we change it to publishers, right? Publishers, right? And we put here publishers in count D, right? Text, and we change the measure into count distinct, okay? So we put the measure in count distinct, so we have 579 publishers, and finally we have so we created the platforms, the names, the publishers, and we have genre, okay. So we duplicate that, duplicate total genres, okay. So we change the title into total genres, right? Genre, and we put here genre, right? So we have the count measure, you select count D, we have 12, okay. So this is for the different, so this is for the different charts and graphs that we have created in our data set. So we have here the dimensions and we have the measures. We have created our parameters and our calculated fields, right? So we have the names, the publishers, platforms, and the names. So we have total names, total genre, platforms, and so what we can create also, we can create another chart, okay. So for example, create new worksheet, okay, since it is very important to know the total sales by genre. So we create total sales by genre, right? So we put the genre into the columns, right? And we put the total sales, so zone sales, into the rows, right? So we order that, and we select the entire view. We can change the color into the blue, right? And we put the we press Control key, we put it into the label, right? We select the study period, right? 1, apply, okay. And we select our zone, so show parameter, right? Global sales, Europe sales, and North America sales. That will depend on the date, so start date and end date, okay. So as you can see here, it will change depending on the year, and it is an interactive chart, right? So total sales by genre, can change the title. So we do some modifications. We will hide the field, and same thing, we edit the axis, right? And we format our chart. So click it on format, so it will be bold in black, right? We change it into black, same thing for the header, and you can rotate, for example, our label, okay. So it will be action, sports, shooter, etc., right? We can also change our title, so it will be bold black, apply, and we can format our title, right? So we select the shading, the same thing as the first ones, okay. So this is for the different worksheets that we have created. Now we will create our dashboard, okay. So select here new dashboard, and you define your size. Okay, so first to define the size, okay, so for example I can increase the width, okay. All right, the height, for example. All right, and we start importing our worksheets, okay. So we start by the first one, which is sales by year. Then we have sales by genre, okay. Then we can add the top 10 by, or the top 10 here, so okay, top 10 publisher by sales, and we select entire view, same thing in here, same thing in here. We add the top 10 here, so the top 10 names, and we have also the top 10 platforms, okay. So you can rearrange them as you want. We can add the zone sales, so we put it here. We have the start date, and we do have the end date, okay. So we are going to put end date, we put them in here, okay. All right, the zone sales, we don't need that. And we can change, for example, our dimensions, okay. So we are going to put that in here, same thing for the map, right. We can increase the height, okay, if you want to, if you have, okay. Then we do have our filters or our parameters, right. Okay, for the genre, it is, we can put it in Florin, okay, Florin, and we can put it in here, right. We can also format the parameters, okay. So click on format parameters, right, so the alignment will be in the center. And for the shading, for example, you can choose this one or this color, okay. So this is for the parameters. Then we can change or edit our legend, so format legend, it will be in the center, okay. Border, we can be in black, same thing for the genre, so format filters and set controls, it will be in the center, okay. and for the border it will be in black. So this is for the genre, and as you can see here, if we change the zone, it will be changed in all the different graphs. All right, so the top 10 publisher, top 10 platforms, top 10 names. Okay, so you can rearrange them as you like. Okay, so here we have the different names and the top 10 platforms, the top 10 publishers. Okay, as you can see here, if we change the end date, it will change in all the platforms. Okay, same thing for the start date, we change in all the charts. Same thing for the sales, for Japan sales, for example. Okay, so we have our interactive dashboard. Now we can add the KPIs, which represent the totals. Okay, so we have the total names, we have the total genres, we have the total platforms, and we have the final, which is total publishers. Okay, all right, now we can rearrange that. For example, total platforms, total publishers, right, and finally total names. Okay, so we can just rearrange. All right, we can increase this one a little bit and put them in here. If you want, for example, we can leave it as it is for the titles. Okay, and here we have our final dashboard. Okay, so we can change that a little bit in here. Decrease. So here we do have our final dashboard for the video games sales, and you can save that, for example, as an image. So you can create on export, dashboard, export image, and you can save it as an image where you can see all the different KPIs and the different graphs that you have created. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope that you have learned how to create sales dashboard using Tableau. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.